Delighted to be joined now by Richie Burke, the manager of Mungret Regional AFC. Richie, obviously we're here this evening to preview the big kickoff just over a week's time away, where you take on the challenge of the Premier Division once again. But before we get on to that, I'd like to maybe reminisce, I suppose, on last weekend's events where you had the Pat Cotter Memorial Tournament at Mungret. It was very well attended. I was out there myself for a small while. You managed to get some very good teams from Munster to come down as well, Clarny, Avenue, Clonmel, to compete in it. And obviously, because Pat was such a huge and a founding member, obviously, of Mungret and a huge part of Mungret in the history and will forever be remembered, it was a great day and a great idea from the club.
Yeah, Adrian, we were lucky, in fairness. We got the top clubs from all around, really. You'd say the top in Clare, top in Tipperary, and top in Kerry, Killarney, Avenue, and Clonmel. It's all good. We got good numbers. Happy enough. I thought we could have got more, but no, I was happy enough with the day. And like everything else, it'll build as years go on, hopefully. And I wanted to be prestigious because of Pat Cotter being the man he was in the club. Listen, anyone that knew him or anyone that knew anything about Mungret Regional would know Pat Cotter. So, and Cotter's, the name itself is renowned for Mungret Regional. So, it was great for his son to be there as well. Brian presented the trophy. I don't know whether he's hanging up the boots this year. Hopefully, he hears this. He won't hang up the boots, but no, it was great for him to be there and something to mark the occasion because he's gone 3 years now. It's hard to believe with COVID and everything else, but no, listen, it's great to mark the man he was, and hopefully it'll build again next year and the year after that.
Yeah, absolutely. It certainly was a great idea and great way to remember Pat, who's also a staunch member of the LDMC for so many years in Limerick. So I suppose, Richie, as well, just to move on maybe to the ending of last season. I know it's probably a sore point for you in some ways because I'd just like to get your thoughts on the way it ended, because I know I had a discussion with you maybe 3 games before the end of the season. You had just beaten Janesborough 5-1 in Pearse Stadium. Everything seemed to be going so well. You had 3 games to wrap it up. You ended up falling just short, and Janesborough got the shield. Was that a bitter pill to swallow in the end?
Yeah, Adrian, it was a bitter pill to swallow. And to be honest, I was tempted not to talk to you because the last time I talked to you, we didn't win a game after. So, no, but listen, you live and learn, really. We were a young team, and we did get a couple of injuries that day against Janesborough, which cost us a small bit, but naivety and different things tested fellas as well. No, listen, it was disappointing. But listen, you live and learn and you move on. And at the end of the day, we won. I was at 9 out of the final 12 games of the season, which was very positive for us. And as I said to you at the time, we're a very young team, and hopefully we can build again this season. We've brought in a bit of experience, in fairness. Now we needed a bit of experience, as I said to you at that time as well. We have this year, the Premier League will be very, very difficult. Crew Park and Travel came up. All the other teams will strengthen. It'll be a difficult season. Now, like everything else, the start is vital. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I know we've had this discussion before, but the league format will remain the same as last season. That was the first time this top 6, bottom 6 split was tried out. Judging by your comments on last season, I assume you're happy enough with that decision as well.
Yeah, listen, it's something for you to go for. If I'm being completely honest, I thought the actual plaque that was given out, I thought could have been a bit better. I thought it could have been an actual shield, kind of made it some bit prestigious, but other than that, the actual format was brilliant in terms of where I was coming from, first season with the team, young team, something to build on. Pity the way it finished off, but at the end of the day, if we didn't have that, we'd be tipping away there 8th, 7th and 8th and nothing to go for. So no, I was listening. It's good for the moment anyway. How long it'll be good for, and how long teams at the bottom will be happy to go for it, I don't know. But at the moment, I'd stick with it anyway. Yeah,
certainly it did seem to be a positive overall, particularly for the bottom 6 sides as well. You mentioned new players you brought in there, Richie. You did bring in a few new signs, and I noticed a couple of them, as you said, about experience, were two well-known players for many years in junior, in the likes of Donny Curtin and Aled Harkin as well. I know Aled obviously has played for Mungret previously as well. Are you happy overall with the players and the signings you've made?
Yeah, happy enough. We've lost a couple, but like everything else, that's junior football. Fellas come in, fellas go out. But yeah, Donny and Aled Harkin are two good footballers, two good players that we'll need. Bit of experience. Like Aled was here for a good few years. He was here 1 year. I think we came third in the Premier League, and we had a brilliant season that season. But no, listen, it's great to have him in. We brought in another young fella from Chrome, Stephen O'Dwyer, a good player as well. A couple of more bodies, one from Manicotti B, and a couple more bodies. But I'm happy enough with it. The squad is nice and big. You need a big squad this early in the season, especially. The way life has got on now, you would say a lot of people go away, holidays and travel abroad, and different things happen throughout the year and injuries. So you have to have a big squad, especially with a long season ahead. Again, the start of the season, you'll have 6-8 games in the space of 4 weeks. And that's always been the case in the Premier League and most leagues, in fairness, in Limerick. But it's tough at the start, and you have to have a squad. If you don't, you're kind of in bother. Yeah, but I'm happy enough so far. Yeah.
And it's a difficult juggling act in general. It reminds me, junior football has gone that way now, but it reminds me of almost League of Ireland, when at the end of the season you really don't know what you're going to have maybe in a couple of months' time. But without trying to poke the bear too much, I know that you've lost Kane Barry, who was instrumental to Richie last year. He's gone to Ashley Anacotti. I suppose, look, because of the improvements he's made, and you know how young he is, and you were probably disappointed to lose him, particularly to one of your rivals.
Yeah, disappointed to lose him. Yeah, Kane Barry was a brilliant player, in fairness. But listen, it's like everything else. Someone goes, it's an opportunity for someone else. As I said to you last year, we had a young team, but I came back pre-season and you're thinking, okay, everyone is a year further on, a year further with experience at Premier Junior Soccer, which is huge. Every year you play Premier Soccer, you have to improve, because your nous improves, everything improves. Like, so we have a lot of players now who are building their experience as they go on. So as I say, if one goes in, the opportunities, doors open for someone else, and that's the way it has to work. Unfortunately, that's the way junior football is gone, and you have to be able to recruit. You have to be able to take your losses when they come as well.
Yeah, and I know this is kind of a broad topic or question, Richie, but you know, we've mentioned the top 6, bottom 6. You were challenging for the Shield. That doesn't necessarily mean, I suppose, that that's where you want to be this year. What's your expectation or your, I suppose, ambition for the season? Would you be trying to break into that top 6, or what would you be looking at?
Oh, absolutely. Like, Mungret Regional are steeped in history. For a lot of people that wouldn't know, but we're steeped in history in terms of Munster Juniors, FAIs, been up there in the Premier Leagues, different things. But we'd like to get back up to the top. It's going to take time. This year, in terms of the whole season, I haven't really thought too much about it. Looked at the first couple of fixtures. That's all you can do. And being honest, and that's not a cliche, if you don't look at the first game and just focus on it, you're in the wrong world, really, because we have Crew Park at home. Going to be a difficult game. There's absolutely no doubt about that. But again, it's a home fixture, and there'll be no one. Touch wood, there'll be no one coming to Mungret getting an easy game, which is great. Which I think we've built over the last couple of years, and I think it's a good thing to have. I don't think there's anyone would disagree with that.
Yeah, absolutely. You certainly have given everyone in the league, including the top sides, a very tough game at your home patch. It's an unforgiving start, obviously, in general for every team in Limerick. Which, you know yourself, you're playing every 3 days, you know, for the space of 3-4 weeks. You could be either banging in the relegation zone, out of league titles within that space of time. It's, as you mentioned earlier on, you have Crew Park early, they're newly promoted. We know that they've recruited quite well in the off season, as people probably expected to, with Albert Slattery in charge, and I suppose his reputation, we'll say, within the ranks. But it is, as you said, going to be difficult. And I know you did lose them maybe in the cups last year, so there'll probably be a slight bit of revenge. But it is a new season, and but as I said, equally because of their confidence levels, you know how hard it's going to be.
Yeah, going to be a tough game, Adrian, but not one we'll fear really. Like as I say, we played the Premier League last season, won 9 of our last 12. From what I remember, last 12 games of the season, did really well. Yeah, it was a really tight game here in the Munster Junior last year. Listen, deservedly, they probably the edge at the end of the day. But at the end of the day, as I say, we're a year further on. Fellas know their job. Fellas know what they're doing. Will it be a tough game? Yes, but do I fear it? If you're fearing any team really at home, you're really in the wrong world, to be honest. And I think we have good, solid in between experience and young players as well. So we have a good balance. So we're in a good spot, to be honest. And training has gone well. Pre-season has gone well. The Pack-Cattle tournament went well. So, no, listen, everything is going in the right direction at the moment. But you're going to take one game at a time. And as you say, you might be down the bottom or up the top very quickly after 3 or 4 weeks. But as I say, all you can do is take one game at a time.
Yeah, absolutely. And on a final note, I suppose in the current world, the way it seems to be from my own discussions with managers, it seems to be incredibly hard to motivate players at the moment, Richie, in general, to maybe, I don't know, just turn for training matches, which certainly wasn't the case a few years ago. You don't seem to have that problem too much yourself, to be fair. You have got a big squad there. You seem to have quite a dedicated bunch. And you also said that you've added players from the youth ranks as well that might be getting opportunities. So on that front, you don't seem to be having that Mungret, and Mungret seem to be in a stronger position than a lot in that respect.
Yeah. We have a couple of minor players come in, all right, Ben Flanagan and Sean Sullivan, which are 2 very capable players. But I do understand what you're asking. It is more difficult, that's for sure. There is days, everyone has them. There is days where you turn up to training, you've 8 and 10. Thankfully, we haven't had less than 10 in a long time. But I do think the generation is different, that's for sure. I do think that it is a bigger challenge to work around people who are working evenings, working shift work, holidays, everything. People have other commitments which we'll say it even 10 or 15 years ago, you would say that their first commitment and sole commitment would have been junior soccer and playing Premier football. But you have to just walk around it. That's a challenge for a manager, any manager that's there now. And everyone has it. As you say, every club has it. Like you talk about the top 6 and the bottom 6, like there is people being paid expenses and things like that, which can be kind of disheartening for lower clubs and things like that. Have to get into that, but you still have challenges everywhere. Every part of the thing as a manager, you have challenges everywhere. You have challenges to injuries, everything. You have to take it all into account and just drive on, because, as I say, there's doors opening for everyone as the season goes on. So you need a big squad and everything like that. But, yeah. So hopefully, listen, we're lucky enough, touch wood, at the moment, that we have numbers and we have people who are dedicated, who came through the whole way up through the club, which is great. And we've drafted in a couple as well. So listen, I'm happy enough at the moment.
Absolutely, and our best wishes to yourself and your Mungret side for the season ahead, Richie, and our thanks to you for joining us. And I'm sure it won't be the last time we're talking to you throughout the season. It might be sooner rather than later. So thank you, and we'll continue our coverage of Limerick Junior Premier Division soccer, hopefully throughout the weeks this year, with our own podcast and obviously discussing the league